Hey guys, it's the Sports Trader, and I want to thank you for watching this podcast. Before we go into the clip, I just want to remind you guys we have our new $2 club. If you guys want to join the $2 club and get some of the best in sports, along with supporting some really cool guys like us, then click the link that's in the description below. It's the $2 club. It's a revolutionary club in sports, and I could tell you more, but just click the link below, and trust me, you'll love it. Let's get on with the clip. I did mention briefly about J.J. Watt. Now, so we're going to jump in and talk about J.J. Watt really quick here. And we're going to do the exact same type of format. And we're going to pick the teams we think are most likely to sign J.J. Watt. Now, this has to do with finances, has to do with where Watt wants to play, and et cetera and so on. So I'm going to let you go first this time. What's your number one team that you think J.J. Watt might sign with?
Okay, so sentimental pick for J.J. Watt. Of course, his hometown team, the Green Bay Packers. If there's any clue as to where he would go, it's there on his red jacket that he used when he made that farewell video to Texans fans. It says Wisconsin. So if that's a subtle clue, then he might be going to the Green Bay Packers. But other than that sentimental pick, I believe that it still really makes sense for J.J. Watt to go to Green Bay because that's one of the more pressing needs of the team. They already have a good secondary with the likes of Zaire Alexander and the guys. They do have a so good a group of linebackers, but pushing up front in terms of defense, that's where they lack, and that's where J.J. Watt can come in. They already have a talented offense. They already have an Aaron Rodgers, a Devontae Adams, or whoever running back they can sign again. So that's a triumvirate that can push your offense again back to the playoffs. But if there's one weak point in Green Bay, it's really their pass rush, and that's where J.J. Watt can come in.
So I'm going to jump in here, and I'm going to make some. My first two picks are really sentimental picks. Has nothing to do with money. I don't know the mindset of J.J. Watt. And if I had to really take a wild guess at what J.J. Watt's worth, he's probably worth upwards of $80 or $90 million. And there's a conversation to be had for somebody like J.J. Watt or even Ben Roethlisberger, who we're going to talk about later in the show. These guys that are worth 80 or 90 million, do you need another 20? Or is it now just about the love of the game? You know, if you get enough money and you're just playing the game because you love the game, will you take a discount to play somewhere else? And if you do, as a football player, why would you do that? So the number one reason that you would do it would be because you want to win. I've played in Texas for the last 10 years of my life. I don't know how long he's been there. 10 years of my life. And I never came close to the Super Bowl. I never got to play in a Super Bowl. I never came close to a Super Bowl. So I'd love to be in a Super Bowl. So my first pick for J.J. Watt, based totally on sentimentality, is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I don't believe that Tom Brady was going to become this amazing recruiter once the year ended. What I believe is that the media has pushed this narrative to the point where it will become a self-fulfilling prophecy, and Tom Brady being in Tampa will be something that draws some of these older veterans there. Now imagine that you're Tampa. You may lose Ndamukong Suh. You may lose Shaq Barrett. You can replace either one of those positions with J.J. Watt. So who is J.J. Watt now? Is he not quick enough to be outside, but he can still work inside? Maybe you put him at one of your defensive tackle positions. Or is he still the guy that you want to put outside? Or is he the guy that you want to move around the line and play everywhere? And JJ's got a lot of position flexibility because in Houston, he did play inside and he did play outside. So my first pick would be J.J. Watt goes ring chasing in Tampa Bay and signs with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, I couldn't dispute that choice because I remember that scene after the first Transformers movie, the end of that movie wherein Optimus Prime was like making a plea to all of the Autobots wherein we are here on Earth. We will be waiting. Right. So I guess Optimus Prime now is Tom Brady calling whoever wants to come to Tampa Bay.
Let's do it. Let's do it, right?
Even an Adrian Peterson would like to go to Tampa Bay just to ring chase. But if not Tampa Bay, if not Green Bay, I also have one more option for J.J. Watt. And it does make sense also in terms of ring chasing, in terms of competing in the playoffs, and that is the Cleveland Browns. So sources tell through Mary Kay Cabot of the Cleveland, one of the news outfits in Cleveland, that he has a lot of... Yeah, Cleveland Plain Dealer, thank you. So that JJ Watt has a lot of interest going to Cleveland. And it does make sense for him because if he cannot go to Tampa Bay, because Tampa Bay has to sort a lot of financial dealings with their players. So if they go to JJ Watt, they might give him really like a base salary, like what Newton got in New England. But at least for in Cleveland, he wouldn't be forced or he wouldn't be pressured to be the main pass rusher because let's face it, he's not the main pass rusher in this stage of his career anymore. He can be a potent secondary passer, a rush passer. So you have Myles Garrett, you have an Olivier Vernon in Cleveland. So JJ Watt can be that third pass rusher that you can play either outside or in the interior. So that can spell doom for the opponents of Cleveland when that happens.
Yeah, so the only thing I have that I don't think the Cleveland's going to work, I think he's going to use Cleveland to leverage himself into a different spot. The only reason I don't see Cleveland as an option for him is if I'm JJ Watt, I want to go after a team that has a tradition of winning. And nothing against Browns fans, but up until last year, that tradition was invisible. You know what I mean? They play in a place that their own fans have named the House of Sorrow. So I don't necessarily believe it's going to go Cleveland. But if he wants to chase a ring and he wants to go ultra sentimental and ultra traditional, I mean, you get all the tradition in the world, all the sentiment in the world with my next choice, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the Steelers are admittedly in cap hell right now. These guys can't afford anything. They couldn't afford a sandwich, but they're good. They're going to fix these issues. And J.J. Watt could actually go to Pittsburgh and play at least for 1 year with his brothers, TJ and the other guy, and Derek. I know his name, but he's not anybody famous. And that would be really, really interesting. Now, the only reason I don't see that happening is J.J. Watt plays the exact same position as Cam Hayward and Stephon Tuitt. And both of those guys are Pro Bowl level players getting superstar type pay. They're $9 million guys and up. So if J.J. Watt were to go to Pittsburgh, it would strictly be for sentimental reasons. It would strictly be to ring chase, and it would strictly be for a very cheap deal. I'm talking about a $3 or $4 million deal. Now, if he's willing to take it, I think Pittsburgh's there with open arms saying, let's do it. It's a PR win for us. It'll be a win towards your brother. Your brother who's going up for a negotiation may take that into consideration and say, hey, I really want to play with my brother. I'm going to sign for $100 million. I'll sign for 97. And you can give $3 million to my brother or whatever it goes, something like that. That's kind of how I see those things happening in Pittsburgh, if it happens at all. What's your next choice?
Yeah, Pittsburgh is also a viable option. And my third choice is actually another AFC team. So if JJ Watt would like to ring chase, but not too obvious ring chase, he can go with the Buffalo Bills.
Ooh,
Buffalo
nice
Bills,
one.
they already have a complete offense, except for an improving backfield. So they have to patch some work there on the backfield with Singletary and the guys. So they already have a Josh Allen. They already have a Cole Beasley. They already have Stephon Diggs. So complete on offense. But on defense, that's where they lack, especially in the pass rush, because their highest sack getter in 2020 was AJ Klein, linebacker, only had 5 sacks.
Oh,
compare it to other teams. That's too low. I mean, other teams have 10, 9. So, and next to him is Mario Addison, defensive end, also had 5 sacks. So usually, if you have a top pass rusher, that 10 sacks is good for one person. I'm not saying that JJ Watt is still good for 10 sacks, but he is good for more than 5. He still has that power. And imagine the amount of attention that he can attract on the trenches once he lines up. So it can free up all of these guys, Klein, Addison, so they can add more sacks once they have this, once the offensive line has this point of concentration in JJ Watt once he signs with Buffalo.
Yeah, it's almost worth the investment so that JJ starts to draw double teams. So it frees up other guys. So it might be worth it. My last choice has nothing to do with sentimentality at all. My last choice might be a little bit of a kind of stick it to my old team type of move. And it also might be just a really, really smart move for JJ Watt. And this is an under the radar move for JJ Watt. But it gets him back to the Midwest. It gets him to a really good team that's a competitor. It gets him to a team that's got a ton of salary cap space. The Indianapolis Colts Now, they weren't on my list originally, but as I thought about it more and more, I'm thinking, well, Indianapolis loves to build their offensive and defensive lines. Indianapolis loves to have a strong defense. Indianapolis is probably going to have a young rookie quarterback, but they've got a really, really loaded team. I mean, the rest of their team is absolutely just stacked. They just need a couple more playmakers. So you get a guy like J.J. Watt, who knows the division, who knows some of the other teams, who knows some of the other tackles he's going to be going against, who is from the Midwest, would probably fall in love with Indianapolis because it's a beautiful city. J.J. Watt to the Indianapolis Colts. It's not sentimental, but it should be a heck of a deal. And I think the Colts can actually pay him, and they would love to have him in town. So that wraps up our list. I hope we write all this down so we can find out which one of us is actually right about where J.J. Watt ends up. Yeah. No matter where he ends up, though, Lance, I think it's still going to be a few weeks away. I don't think he's going to go anywhere in the next few weeks. Yep. I think he's just feeling out the market right now. I think they've got rumors going. I think they're talking. They're going to get the word out of where things are going. He's trying to leverage himself into places that he wants to get into. There are some teams that just have to wait. If Pittsburgh is among one of the places he'd like to play, he's got to wait. Pittsburgh doesn't have the cap room right now. They've got to make a lot of moves in order so they can move forward and make some signings. They've got to sign a lot of their own players, and a lot of other teams have to do the exact same thing. So I think we're in a wait and see mode for J.J. Watt, but it'll be interesting to see where he ends up. Now, before I go any further, I just want to remind everybody, we do have our $2 club. You guys can see the sign behind me. That's our $2 club over at What's on Sports. It's a brand new thing that we're doing. It's called the $2 Sports Club. And if you join the sports club today, you get all sorts of really cool stuff, including all the content that we have behind the paywall, which is amazing stuff, all really great stuff. Lots of great gambling and fantasy advice, which is well worth the $2. You have access to my new book, which is the Scoremetric Secret. Teaches you all about sports trading. You have access to these private seminars that I'll be doing behind the paywall. And you have access to lots of other cool interviews that we're going to be doing, including with coming up, and I think 2 weeks or 3 weeks away, Michael Frances, who is the Mafia Don, the kingpin guy that everybody knows about. He's all over YouTube. He'll be in our pay area only with a members-only chat happening. Michael Frances will be back there. And guys, you'll be able to ask him any question that you want to. Do not miss out on the $2 club. The link is in the description. Make sure you check out the $2 club today. Hey, you watched all the way until the end. That's awesome. Well, listen, here's some more clips you guys are going to like. Click those. And also, if you love the show and you want a lot more of what we do, click the link in the description below. It'll take you over to our $2 club. That's right. It's a $2 club. And it'll show you all of the amazing, awesome things that you'll get for just $2. It's the best deal in sports, and we invite you to join our club today. It's the $2 club at whatsonsports.com. See you there.